Ladies and gentlemen, referee Jason Herzog has called a stop to this contest at 4 minutes, 35 seconds of the first round. Due to an accidental foul, this fight is declared no contest.
Tom Aspinall, the British heavyweight champion, had been waiting over a year to defend his title. 14 months. That's not 14 days or 14 weeks. We're talking more than a full year of waiting, training, and preparing. For context, Aspinall had been caught up in a standoff with John Jones, one of the greatest fighters of all time. The MMA world was desperate to see that super fight happen. But when negotiations stalled, the UFC finally booked Aspinall against Cyril Gane, the French striker known for his technical prowess and lightning-fast movements. Gane is no joke, people. This is a guy who moves like a middleweight despite being a heavyweight. He's one of the best strikers in the division, with incredible technique and footwork. This was supposed to be a barn burner, a technical striking battle between two of the most skilled big men in the sport. Tom trained his heart out for 6 months specifically for this fight. After being sidelined for over a year, he was finally getting his chance to show the world why he deserved to be called the heavyweight champion. His father and trainer Andy Aspinall had him prepared and ready to go. The anticipation was through the roof. So let's talk about what happened on that fateful night at UFC 321. The fight starts and right away both guys are showing their skills. It's competitive, it's exciting, the crowd is into it. But then things start getting messy. According to Tom, he actually got eye-poked twice during the fight. The first one wasn't too severe, but it was enough that the referee gave Gane a warning. Already red flags are going up, but the fight continues. Then came the moment that changed everything. 4.5 minutes into the first round, Cyril Gane's fingers went directly into both of Tom Aspinall's eyes. And we're not talking about a light touch here, folks. Tom described it as Gane trying to make his head a bowling ball, knuckled deep in both eyes simultaneously. Can you imagine that? Both eyes at the same time, fingers driven deep into the sockets. Tom later said he could literally feel how deep Gane's fingers went into his eye. He described feeling like the finger hit the back of his eye socket. The pain was immediate and devastating. Tom told the referee, "I can't see." Those 3 words that no fighter ever wants to say. The referee stopped the action and gave Aspinall his 5-minute recovery time, which is standard protocol for fouls in MMA. But here's the thing. 5 minutes wasn't enough. Tom's vision didn't come back. He was standing in the octagon, the biggest moment of his career, and he literally couldn't see out of his eyes. When the 5 minutes had elapsed, Tom made the incredibly difficult decision to tell the referee he couldn't continue. The fight was ruled a no contest, meaning neither fighter won or lost. But for Tom, it felt like he'd lost everything he'd worked for. Now, let's talk about what happened immediately after the fight, because this is where things get really serious. Tom went straight to the hospital in Abu Dhabi. He posted a video from the hospital, and guys, you could see the pain in his face. This wasn't someone faking an injury or trying to get out of a fight. This was a man in genuine agony. My first update since my eye injury, 0:43 to 0:55. In the hospital video, Tom explained that Gane had gone near enough knuckle deep in both his eyes. The initial examination by the doctor in Abu Dhabi showed no immediate serious damage, which was somewhat of a relief. But the doctor made it clear that Tom needed further, more comprehensive examinations back in the UK. Here's what really drives home how serious this was. While Tom was at the hospital, his good eye, the one that was less affected, started getting blurry too. He said he could hardly see out of either eye. Tom's father, Andy, was there with him, and as a parent and trainer, you could hear the concern in his voice. Andy brought up Michael Bisping, the former UFC champion who lost vision in one eye due to fight-related injuries. Andy said the thought of his son potentially losing an eye is horrendous for any parent to think about. Tom Aspinall injury update. From his dad, 0-0 to 0-10. And you know what? He's absolutely right. These fighters put their lives on the line every time they step into that cage. But there's a difference between accepting the risks of legal strikes and suffering permanent damage from an illegal foul. Tom himself put it into perspective, saying this was way scarier than when he injured his knee previously. With a knee injury, you know it'll heal. But with an eye injury, you just don't know what's going to happen. Now here's where things get frustrating for Tom Aspinall. Instead of receiving sympathy and support, a section of the MMA community actually mocked him for not continuing the fight. Yeah, you heard that right. People were calling him a quitter. They were saying he gave up. They were questioning his heart. And his toughness. Can you believe that? The man gets both eyes poked simultaneously by illegal strikes, literally cannot see, and people are questioning his warrior spirit? Tom addressed these critics head-on in his recent YouTube video, and honestly, his response was perfect. He said, "I'm not a dummy. I'm not going to go out there and fight one of the best strikers in the world if I can't see." Think about that logic for a second. If Tom had continued fighting without vision, what would have happened? Gane, being the skilled striker that he is, would have almost certainly knocked Tom out cold. And then those same critics would be saying, "Why did he keep fighting when he couldn't see? What a stupid decision." Tom explained it perfectly. If you get double eye poked in both eyes and you've got no vision because of a foul, why should I carry on so some dummy can look and say, "Oh yeah, Tom just got knocked out"? He made an important distinction too. If it's a legal strike that compromises you, then yes, as a fighter, you have to find a way to continue or accept the loss. That's the nature of combat sports. But when it's an illegal foul that takes away your ability to compete safely, why should you be forced to continue and risk permanent damage? The man has children to take care of. He has a life beyond fighting. Why should he risk his long-term health because some keyboard warriors want to see him tough it out? Okay, so here's where the story takes a turn that has everyone talking. Initially, Tom thought the eye pokes were just accidental. It's MMA, things happen in the heat of battle, right? But then Tom watched the fight back. And that's when he saw something that changed his entire perspective. According to Tom, Gane had his fingers outstretched and pointed at Tom's eyes during multiple exchanges throughout the round. Not just once or twice, but repeatedly. Tom claims that nearly every exchange where he could put Gane in danger, Gane had his fingers out pointing toward Tom's eyes. Tom didn't mince words about what he saw. The guy was cheating from the first second, and the way that he wanted to win that fight was to have me compromised by cheating. His conclusion? I think he's a big cheater. Now, those are strong accusations, and Tom backed them up by including footage in his YouTube video showing these moments. The slow motion clips apparently show Gane repeatedly throwing outstretched fingers at Aspinall's face throughout their exchanges. This is a serious allegation because if true, it means this wasn't just an accidental poke in the heat of battle. It would suggest a deliberate pattern of behavior designed to compromise Tom's vision and gain an unfair advantage. Eye pokes have long been a controversial issue in MMA. The UFC uses gloves with separated fingers, which unfortunately makes eye pokes possible. Many fighters have called for different glove designs over the years, but the UFC has been slow to make changes. Some fighters have become notorious for eye pokes over their careers. It becomes part of their pattern, whether intentional or not. And according to Tom's analysis of the footage, Gane was showing this pattern throughout their brief encounter. Let's fast forward to where Tom is now, 5 weeks after the incident. And folks, the news isn't good. Tom has been, as he sarcastically put it, having a lovely time just in and out of the hospital, getting all kinds of different tests on my eyes and speaking to specialists, speaking to surgeons, speaking to doctors. Notice he mentioned surgeons. That's not a good sign. When you're talking to surgeons about your eye, that means the injury is serious enough that surgery is potentially on the table. Tom has been seeing specialists regularly, undergoing various tests to determine the full extent of the damage. And here's the scary part. 5 weeks later, he's still not cleared to train. He's not doing anything MMA related. He's just following the doctor's orders and waiting to see what happens with his health. Think about that from a fighter's perspective. You're a professional athlete at the peak of your career. You're the heavyweight champion of the world. And you can't train? You can't prepare. You can't do your job. All because of an illegal foul. Tom addressed this frustration directly. If you were sidelined from doing your job for like 15 months, not allowed to do anything, you train your rear end off for 6 months for a fight, then get double eye poked, and are left with no vision for nearly 6 weeks because of an illegal move. How do you think I feel? Not feeling fantastic, am I? The sarcasm is heavy, but you can hear the genuine frustration and pain behind it. This is a man who did everything right. He stayed in shape during the layoff. He trained properly. He showed up ready to fight, and through no fault of his own, his career is now in limbo. So where do we go from here? That's the million-dollar question that everyone in the MMA world is asking. UFC President Dana White has said he's keen to rebook Aspinall versus Gane. On paper, that makes sense. The fight was ruled a no contest, meaning it's like it never happened in the record books. They were having a competitive fight before the eye poke ended things. But here's the problem. There's no time frame for Tom's return. He literally cannot give anyone a date because he doesn't know when his eyes will be healthy enough to train, let alone compete at the highest level of the sport. Tom was clear about this. It's not up to me, it's up to the doctors. At the moment, I'm not allowed to do anything, so I'm just following advice at the moment. He mentioned that surgery is being discussed, though no final decision has been made. The next few weeks will be crucial in determining whether surgery is necessary, and if so, what kind of recovery timeline we're looking at. For Ciryl Gane, this situation is complicated too. He didn't get the win he wanted. He's now being accused of intentionally eye-poking his opponent. Whether those accusations are fair or not, his reputation has taken a hit in the eyes of many fans. The UFC has a heavyweight division that needs its champion active, but they can't rush Tom back before he's medically cleared. Meanwhile, other contenders are waiting for their opportunities. This situation highlights a bigger problem in MMA that the sport has been dealing with for years. Eye pokes. Tom's father, Andy, made an excellent point during all of this. He suggested it would be useful to analyze fighters who repeatedly eye poke, not to kick them out of the sport, but to help tidy up the game and make it safer. He's right. Eye pokes have become almost commonplace in MMA. How many times have we seen fights interrupted by eye pokes? How many times have we seen fighters given warnings? And how often do those warnings actually lead to meaningful consequences? The current system clearly isn't working. Fighters get warned, maybe they get a point deducted if it happens multiple times, but there's rarely significant punishment. Meanwhile, the fighter who got poked is left dealing with the consequences, sometimes for weeks or months afterward. Andy also pointed out something important. A lot of fighters do it, get away with it, win the fight, then everybody forgets the guy got poked in the eye. That's exactly what happens. The winner celebrates, gets their hand raised, and moves on to the next fight. The loser is left dealing with potential vision problems, and the eye poke becomes a footnote in the fight's history. But what if that eye poke was the difference in the fight? What if the fighter couldn't see clearly for the rest of the bout? That's not a level playing field. That's not fair competition. Some solutions have been proposed over the years. Different glove designs that curve the fingers inward, making it harder to extend them toward an opponent's eyes. Stricter officiating with automatic point deductions for eye pokes. Heavier fines for repeat offenders. But so far, none of these solutions has been implemented in any meaningful way. And fighters like Tom Aspinall are paying the price. What do you guys think? Was it intentional or just an unfortunate accident? Should Tom have tried to continue? And what changes should the UFC make to prevent this from happening again? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you made it this far, thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on notifications so you never miss our breakdowns of the biggest stories in MMA